Hello, people of YouTube. It's a religious fanboy here again. I know a few videos ago I talked about potentially doing like a last stand month type thing. Well, I've decided to do it much smaller of a thing, not like as big as the number 1 month theme was. What I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what I'm gonna do for those videos. I'm gonna review Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox. And then I'm just gonna review the 2 comics that I got in the mail from this past March. With that being said, let's go find out what the random 5 Bible verses will be. Okay, I am gonna read the first 5 Bible verses of Proverbs chapter 25. These 2 are Proverbs of Solomon, the men of Ezekiel, king of Judah. Copied, it is the glory of God to conceal a matter, and the glory of kings to investigate a matter. As the heaven is high and the earth is deep, so the hearts of kings cannot be investigated. Remove impurities from silver, and a vessel with be proceeded for a silversmith. Remove the wicked from the king's presence, and his throne will be established in righteousness. This movie, I really like this video, but if you don't mind some extreme moments of violence, then this movie's okay, but I will go out and say this is probably one of the more violent or darker DC animated films. But I don't necessarily care for how they're doing that now, because it kind of feels like to me that they're like pushing the envelope with stuff. Like the main example of that I could give is if you guys have seen Assault on Arkham, I just thought it was too much of dark stuff in a DC animated film that it actually ended up leaving a somewhat bad taste in my mouth actually after the movie was over. So I kind of hope that attitude kind of changes with the upcoming DC animated films. But overall, this is really good, so I'm gonna start by talking about the plot. Well, if you have read the graphic novel Flashpoint, it has a familiar story. It just doesn't. A lot of the stuff though was cut out for this movie. What happens is the Flash, on like some many years anniversary of the death of his mom, he decides to go back in time to try to save his mom from being murdered when he was a kid. What he successfully does that, but when he comes back to the current timeline, things are not as it seems. By that I mean Cyborg is a hero for hire somewhat. He works directly with the president and the White House and everything. and him saving his mom. If you guys have heard of the butterfly effect, basically what that is, even changing the smallest thing in history, it can significantly alter the future just because of how much that affects events throughout time. What stuff like that is, the Batman of this universe isn't Bruce Wayne. It is actually a much darker Batman that is revealed to be Thomas Wayne, because in this timeline, instead of Bruce Wayne's parents being killed, it was Bruce Wayne that died, and Thomas Wayne became Batman, and Martha Wayne became insane and became the Joker. And the main antagonist there, this is actually like a three-way fight. While all this stuff with the Flash is going on, the Atlanteans and the Amazons are at war, because it tells why in the flashback. While Aquaman and Wonder Woman used to date before Mira got married to Aquaman, and one time Mira attempted to assassinate Wonder Woman, and in self-defense Wonder Woman killed Mira. The aftermath of that was Aquaman and the Atlanteans declared war on the Amazons, and due to that such big of a conflict, like it's basically destroying the world and stuff, the war is. And I really like the kind of lesson that it has for, like, the Bible whenever it talks about someone who is wondering, like, you might hear some people say, why do bad things happen to good people and stuff like that. I like how this video shows the lesson really well, that certain things happen for good reasons, and even if there's a chance that we could fix something or could have prevented something, sometimes a better decision or better way to go about that is just simply not to change anything. And I really like this video. It's a very good video, but it is very violent and there is some blood shown in it. And also, there are some parts that if you're a sensitive person and like you cry at deaths, and if you just cry easily in general, there are a few moments that might make you cry in here. Well, I'm actually gonna quote this movie really quick because I really like the quote. It's probably one of the best moments in DC animated history. Well, I'm not gonna quote it because it's kind of long, but it's in the final battle between Professor Zoom and the Flash. And what Professor Zoom basically tells the Flash, he basically says that the Flash was selfish to try to bring back his mom. And he talked about And like up to this point, like the Flash had thought Professor Zoom had altered the time machine to make all these terrible things happen. But I kind of like how Professor Zoom kind of pointed out that the whole altered apocalyptic tone DC timeline that they were in was kind of almost the Flash's indirect fault almost. What I think is, I just think that was a really interesting moment. Just because I was like, you don't usually see stuff like that in comics. And it's usually, the way comics are done, it's usually black and white. Where but this movie I would say is just an all around, makes heroism a gray area. Well, actually, that is the same thing I like about Alan Moore's The Watchmen. And I just really like this movie. I'm gonna read a little bit more scripture. Well, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna upload the last 7 month videos together, and then I will divide them up using a video editor later. We are gonna start. The first comic I'm gonna review is Grace number 8. But it starts out with Helena and Mr. Minos having a conversation. And it's going back in between them having a conversation and Mr. Minos and Cassandra Cain having a conversation. And if you know your old Bat family, if you know your Bat family information really well, especially the older stuff, you'll know that Cassandra Cain was the original Batwoman. Back in the Golden Age / Silver Age of comics. During this, and then it cuts to some of the schoolgirls at the academy, like talking about how they are kind of in love with Dick Grayson while they're watching him do gymnastics and stuff. And they were part of his spy cover, since it's like a school place, he had to hide the fact that he was attracted to girls, and they touch upon that. What I found really funny, because I'm like, I guess they don't read comics, because I think a few people would definitely know that he's straight, specifically Batgirl and Starfire. Just about half of the original New Teen Titans, the girls of the New Teen Titans, probably would all argue with that. What I just find funny. And Helena ends up getting shot. Well, if you've been following the Grayson book title, they have been building like super. They've been finding organs to build this super powerful being. What Mr. Minos is using that to take out the very first Spiral agent. And Grayson has to fight and try to save him. What they do successfully beat the somewhat Amazo-like figure. What he has like all the powers of the Justice League. What I think is really cool and interesting. And those girls from earlier even help to fight. What actually Grayson says something really funny when they come to help him. He says extra credit all around. What I just thought that's funny and stuff. And then Helena, also known as Pre-New 52 Huntress, actually shoots Mr. Minos with her crossbow, and he fakes his death. But then we go back to where he was talking with Cassandra Cain, and they continue their conversation and talking about how he faked his death. But then Cassandra Cain killed him. And that's where the comic ends. What? Oh. And now I'm gonna review Batman and Robin number 40. I'll just talk about it because I can't get it out of this thing right now. I really like this issue. What there is a point where I was genuinely laughing at this comic. It was when Bart Allen. Nope. It was Billy Batson, actually. Sorry, I screwed that name up. Billy Batson and Robin are talking on the in the Watchtower, and Shazam is talking about all this childish stuff, like how he saved Batman's life a couple of times and stuff. And I just love how Damian reacts to it. It's like, he's just basically saying like, sure, and stuff like that. Like, he's annoyed with the conversation. What that just made it really funny for me. And there's a really cool fight sequence. And at the end of the comic, Damian Wayne loses his powers. But it seems like he has new respect and enjoyment of being a crime fighter. Because the comic ends with Batman and Robin swinging with their grappling hooks to a crime scene in Gotham. And both Batman and Robin are smiling. And I thought that's a really good way to actually end this comic book title. This was the final issue of the comic book title, but Robin does have his own series now. I'm gonna start reviewing those comics soon, too, because I've been getting those in the mail. And that's it for this video, and may God be with you, and see you next time.